The deadliest year ever at the U.S. southern border. A new report says 856 migrants died in the past 12 months, all while trying to cross into the United States. Numbers from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency obtained by Fox News reveal more than 200,000 migrant encounters in the month of September alone. The influx is flooding cities and shelters throughout the U.S. We go now to Simon Hankinson, Senior Research Fellow in the Border Security and Immigration Center at the Heritage Foundation. Simon, welcome back. Good to be with you. So put these numbers into context for us. How much of a rise in the number of migrant encounters and the number of deaths of those trying to come into the country are we seeing?
Well, the numbers are unprecedented. Since the Biden administration started, we've seen 5 million encounters at the border and gotaways, about 1 million gotaways and over 4 million encounters between Border Patrol and Customs and Border Protection. I actually had heard the figure 1,200 people who died crossing. I think there's an awful lot that don't get recorded. When I was down on the border not so long ago, local officials were complaining about the cost and the logistics and the difficulty of having to deal with these poor people who die trying to cross the border or drowning in the river. So historically, this is the worst year we've ever had. We've had over 20 months in a row now with more than 150,000 border encounters on the southern border.
And I know that that the Biden administration has suggested that American households could sponsor refugees. What more can you tell us about this? And also any mention of protections for the migrants or families that might be taking them in?
Yeah, I read about this idea recently. We already have the United for Ukraine program, I think it is, with 70,000 people. Then there's the new volunteering for Venezuela. I don't know what's next, be nice to Nicaraguans. The idea would be that private individuals, not necessarily U.S. citizens, they could even be people on temporary protected status, as long as they were here. I don't think illegals would be allowed to do this. They'd be able to sponsor individually immigrants to come in to the United States on some kind of refugee or temporary or parole status. I'm not sure how carefully they've thought this program through, and I don't really see where it fits into our actual immigration law.
Yeah, very concerning right there. A lot of things to untangle. Simon, I know that last week, Real Clear Policy ran a story about the smuggling of unregulated abortion pills coming across the border. What have you heard about this?
Yeah, I read about that recently. I think when you have 80% of your Border Patrol pulled off the line and doing the migration machine, basically processing people in and pushing them into the backlogs, you're going to see all kinds of things come over the border that maybe would have been stopped. There's always been some smuggling across the border, but it's pretty much out of control now. We've seen pictures of people crossing in the middle of the night with backpacks. Just last week, there was a seizure of about 12,000 pills. They have fentanyl disguised as Halloween candy coming in. So it's not surprising to me that you're getting drugs, including abortion pills, and all kinds of fakes coming across at all times.
We're almost out of time, but one thing I want to touch on, Governors DeSantis of Florida and Tom Abbott of Texas, as you know, were accused of using migrants as political tools when they were shipped to places like D.C. and New York. But it seems the Democratic mayor of El Paso, Texas, is doing the same now. What can you report?
Well, actually, yeah, the Mayor Lisa of El Paso moved a significantly larger number. I think it was 10,000 people to New York and D.C. and Chicago, to cities up north. So far more than the 3,000 or so that Governor Abbott from Texas moved. But because perhaps he's a Democrat, it wasn't as big a news item. He did also stop doing this when they announced this Volunteers for Venezuela program. But as that only has 24,000 visas max, and that's not even 10% of the number of people that cross illegally every month, I'm not sure if that's going to bail them out.
Well, Simon, we're going to leave it right there. Thank you so much for coming on today. Appreciate your insights as always.
Glad to be with you.